Hi everyone, welcome again. I'm Serena Joyce White-Lake. This is my video on the urgent need to increase diversity and inclusion in the legal profession. In the background, I have the Juneteenth flag and singer Victory Boyd, who I love, and I love her hair and her voice and everything. Before you continue, please hit the like button below and subscribe to my channel. I have a great video about Juneteenth and the courageous African Americans who helped win the Civil War. This video is going to be short. I'm just providing some foundational information. I have two very quick video clips to illustrate the seriousness of the lack of diversity in the legal profession, and I have a short PowerPoint presentation. So here's just some foundational information, and I encourage you to continue your research, and we all need to work on this very important issue. So with that, I'm going to share my screen now to give you my short PowerPoint presentation. And here it goes. Well, first I want to say welcome to this PowerPoint. My name is Serena Joyce White-Lake. I am a lawyer and adjunct professor passionate about dismantling systemic racism. The problem is the legal profession remains one of the least diverse professions in the United States, which is a problem because the legal profession is extremely consequential to people's lives. And it is important that society has faith in a system of justice and in our legal system, and without it, the system can't survive. It is important that the legal profession represent the society that it serves. So this is a crucial topic. Now, what is diversity? Diversity in the workplace means that an organization employs a diverse team of people that is reflective of the society it serves. While there are many differences in humans, most people define diversity by a few social categories such as gender, ethnicity, color, disability, sexual orientation, etc. I will be talking about these categories. What is inclusion? The achievement of a work environment in which all individuals are treated fairly and respectfully, have equal access to opportunities and resources, and can contribute fully to the company's success. In the words of Verna Myers, VP of Inclusion Strategy at Netflix, quote, "Diversity is being invited to the party, but inclusion is being asked to dance." Inclusion is what keeps diverse employees at different organizations and companies. Think about it. If you were at a party and you were sitting by yourself, no one was talking to you, no one was dancing with you, would you stay at that party very long? No, probably not. That is why you must have inclusion in addition to diversity. Now with that, I'd like to show a very quick video of Verna Williams explaining the importance of inclusion. I'm only going to show about 20 seconds.
It's a lot about expectations. It's about being reflected in that culture. And it's also about being respected. It's also about being integrated and feeling welcomed, and your voice is being heard and your ideas are being solicited, and you feel like you have an equal opportunity to succeed.
Yes, you have an equal opportunity to succeed, okay? I wanted to show a very quick video that's available online if you'd like to see the full speech, okay? Next, I read the American Bar Association, or the ABA, the Profile of the Legal Profession report, which is available online. The percentage of lawyers who are men and women of color, that is Hispanic or Latinx, African American, Asian, Native American, and mixed race grew only 3 percentage points in the past 10 years. That is problematic, okay? Whereas white or Caucasian, okay, men and women are still overrepresented in the legal profession compared with their presence in the overall US population. In 2020, 86% of all lawyers were non-Hispanic white people or Caucasians, a decline from 3 years ago. A decline from a decade ago. However, by comparison, 60% of all US residents were non-Hispanic whites. So that means even though whites or Caucasian make up only 60% of the US population, they make up 86% of lawyers, okay? Now, when it comes to people of color, we are underrepresented in the legal field. For example, 5% of all lawyers are African American, the same percentage as 10 years earlier, but the US population is 13.4% African American, Okay. And while underrepresented in professions such as law and medicine, African Americans are overrepresented in the criminal justice system, making up 33% of the prison population, but again, only 13.4% of the US population. So that's extremely problematic that when compared with our presence in the overall US population, African Americans are underrepresented in professions, but we're overrepresented in prisons. That's systemic racism. I'm going to show a pie chart so that you see where these numbers are coming from. All right, this is from the American Bar Association. Again, these are the demographics. If you look at this pie chart, the orange shading represents Caucasian or white people's representation in the legal field. 86% are white lawyers, 5% underneath it are African American, as you can see. 5% Hispanic, 2% Asian, 2% multiracial, and 0.4% Native American. This pie chart really highlights how non-diverse the legal profession is. Next, I'd like to show about 1 minute from this panel discussion from the American Bar Association, where public defender Sajid A. Khan talks about the lack of diversity in the criminal law field.
What immediately comes to mind for me is a courtroom experience that I had a few years ago when I was representing a young Latino teenager who was who was being prosecuted as an adult for a gang-related murder for something that he allegedly committed when he was just 16 years old. While standing by his side in the Santa Clara County courtroom for his arraignment, I glanced at the jury box in this particular courtroom, and I looked around at the other people that were there for their arraignments, all adorned in county jail uniforms, all waiting to be heard by a judge. I looked around and I noticed that everyone in the courtroom in that jury box was either a black or brown teenage or 20-something-year-old young man, all sitting in jail, all staring down the barrel of felony charges, all looking at potential prison sentences. And it was a startling image and a reflection of the reality of our country, and specifically the reality of how the machine of mass incarceration rocks and scars communities of color in our country.
All right, so that panel is available online if you would like to hear the rest of it. It's a very good panel called Beyond Redlining. Next, LGBT lawyers. The number of openly lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender lawyers at American law firms is growing slowly. According to an annual survey by the National Association for Law Placement, they found that the number was around 2.99% of the lawyers profiled in their survey were LGBT lawyers. We have to work on increasing those numbers also. The number of lawyers at American law firms who report having disabilities remains small at roughly 0.5% of all lawyers, but the percentage is double today what it was a decade ago. We must work to increase representation of lawyers with disabilities. Now, here's some strategies for increasing diversity and inclusion, which is what I'm closing with. Set measurable objectives and closely track the numbers. You cannot manage what you don't measure, so it's important to look at the data and the numbers. Broaden the criteria for positions. Oftentimes, employers will look positively on employees or candidates who have more degrees, more advanced education. But according to experts, and in my studies, it's been revealed that work experience should be credited more because due to systemic racism, there's an underrepresentation of people of color when it comes to having advanced degrees. There are law candidates, as you know, who have, in addition to a JD, they have master's degrees, et cetera. So it's important to also credit work experience to allow more candidates the opportunity to work. Next, require employers to review resumes blind. That means removing the name and seeing if more diverse candidates make it past certain interview stages when we don't have the name bias or other identifying information on the resume, such that these resumes are being judged in a blind manner to remove implicit or unconscious bias. Next, create and enforce a diversity and inclusion policy. Next, include efforts to diversify in people's job performance evaluations. and includes serious consequences, including loss of job or demotion. In order for people to take these efforts seriously, there have to be serious consequences. So you can make it a requirement and then include that in evaluations. Next, provide mandatory, regular, implicit, and explicit bias training. When I say regular, it can be annual, it can be biannual. You just definitely have to have this training on a regular basis and make it mandatory, because some people aren't aware of their biases, which is why we call it implicit or unconscious. And lastly, let me go back. Require employers to disclose their numbers of diverse employees and whether they have a diversity and inclusion policy. Potential colleagues or potential clients would be interested to know if certain law firms or organizations take diversity and inclusion seriously. So now it's up to you. I'm going to stop sharing. Thank you for your time and for your attention. As you can see, we have a lot of work to do to increase diversity in the legal profession and to decrease the overrepresentation of people of color in the prison system. That's huge. The information that I have referred to in this presentation is available online. The American Bar Association profile of the legal profession, dated July 2020, is available online. Verna Myers of Netflix has wonderful speeches online, and her LinkedIn profile is amazing, so check it out. And also the panel discussion that the American Bar Association recently published on beyond redlining. And look up redlining if you don't know it. It's the reason for the huge wealth gap between Black and white people in America. And it was legalized racist lending practices sanctioned by our government, which we don't learn about in school. Okay, so there, I got an idea for the next video, but thank you for your time, and let's continue to work to increase diversity in this consequential profession.